Moose and her calves decide to spend a day in this family's backyard. Man documents how it went.
Before we begin, do us a favor and click that like button. Also subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to be inspired by these inspiring stories every day.
Roland Rydstrom from Anchorage, Alaska, just had a few uninvited guests pop over to his place. Last week, a mama moose and her two calves came over to his backyard. If that wasn't enough, the moose liked Rydstrom's grass so much they decided to spend the day there. The little buddies taste tested everything from the chairs to the gates, and when they decided the backyard was safe, they snuggled up together and even took a nap. At one point, their mama even gave them lunch. Rydstrom photographed the entire family trip from inside his home, and when it was over, the man uploaded the pictures to the internet. They immediately went viral, showing that people really needed to see something so innocent and cute during these hard times. When Rydstrom saw the moose and opened the blinds to get a better look, the animals didn't even notice him. Right away, I found the Flat Stanley my cousin sent me from Iowa, he told Bored Panda. I'd promised my cousins in their elementary school group that I'd take a picture of Flat Stanley with the moose in my yard. But so far, in the almost 3 months I'd been working from home, I hadn't been home when the moose were here, a very common experience. Flat Stanley had been out on the local hiking trails with me, but so far I'd been unlucky with moose pictures. I took the pictures of the moose with Flat Stanley and took a few without him and went to work. I really expected that the moose would walk away at some point, but every time I looked up from my work, they were still there, Rydstrom explained. I could watch directly them from my work spot. It was a great distraction and a fun way to spend the day while I was editing concert footage for my job with the Anchorage Symphony Orchestra. Throughout the day, as the moose changed lounging spots or walked away and came back, I'd go back to the window or the open door, the screen door was still closed, to take more pictures of them. They were oblivious to me most of the time, although their ears were up most of the time, so obviously they were alert. The Alaska moose is actually the state's official land mammal, and 175,000 to 200,000 of these hulking critters call the last frontier their home. Interestingly, the Alaska moose are sexually dimorphic, making the males 40% heavier than females. Male Alaska moose can stand over 2.1 meters, 6.9 feet at the shoulder, and weigh over 435 kilograms, 1,400 pounds. Female Alaska moose, on the other hand, are about 1.8 meters, 5.9 feet at the shoulder, and can weigh close to 478 kilograms, 1,054 pounds. This makes the Alaska moose the largest member of the deer family and also the largest moose in the world. It's not easy maintaining such a physique. Although moose are herbivores, they eat enormous amounts every day. In summer, for example, it will happily munch on 73 pounds of food a day, while in the winter it chews on about 34 pounds of scrumptious greens. The moose were in Rydstrom's backyard for most of the day, from shortly before 9 a.m. to almost 7 p.m. They took 2 trips through the neighborhood, but quickly returned to their spots in our backyard, he said. Most of the time, you can see from the pictures, they were really just lounging here. A neighbor reported that she'd observed this same moose family running along the road a few times from our neighborhood earlier that morning. If I'd taken videos earlier in the morning, you'd have noticed that the mama, in particular, was breathing very heavily. They needed rest, and I think that they felt safe here in our backyard. Note the smile on its face as it knocks over this pot. Sociopath. And just like that, the marigold is knocked over and that baby pretends it didn't have a thing to do with it. The calves spent a lot of time lounging together. It was cute seeing them lying together and moving with the sun throughout the day. Rydstrom made the right call by staying inside to photograph the moose family that visited him. Moose are generally not aggressive animals, but they can become increasingly dangerous when provoked. Female moose will not think twice about engaging a person if she thinks they're threatening her young. As the moose family left and returned to the backyard, they'd nibble on plants, or in the case of the calves, the patio furniture and decorations in ours and our neighbor's backyard, just like a baby putting everything in their mouth, Rydstrom added. In fact, our neighbor started turning her decorative patio lights off and on to try to scare the baby, who kept trying to eat a light bulb because she was afraid the glass would break in its mouth. The mama loves eating our yellow begonias and the neighbor's orange begonias. She also loves the leaves on the trees. The astilbe bleeding hearts, they've bloomed, and I'm lucky she didn't eat them that day, and the orange blossom bush leaves. Unfortunately, Roland was on a phone call when the most exciting action occurred, so he didn't get photos or video. Another cow and her calves came running through the backyard near the end of the day. I could hear them running this way, but I was unable to get a video of them through this lounging moose family. The mama and her babies in my pictures jumped up and quickly ran after them. So there were 2 cows and 4 calves running through the backyards. It was a lot of action that I was just relaying to one of my friends over the phone. Nothing exactly like this has happened in Rydstrom's backyard before. However, as he already said, Moof often visit it. Usually they just walk through the yard and nibble on our plants and trees or play in our neighbor's sprinklers. A few years ago, we thought a mother was about to give birth in the exact lounging spot in my pictures. She was lying down in the sun for several hours with very labored breathing while stretching her legs. But it was a false alarm, and she had her twins across the street that night. Roland's partner Kathy said this on the Facebook post, and that she's been in Alaska since 1976 and has never seen anything like this in her yard, and that she's lived much further up the hillside toward the mountains prior to this neighborhood. It happens all the time for others. We just got lucky this time to experience it ourselves.